Gemini, welcome to your weekly reading. Let's get started and see what messages we have for Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Rising positions for the week ahead. Keeping in mind that these are general readings and might not resonate for everyone. So make sure to check out your other placements. And if you'd like a personal reading, you can check out the link on the description below, or you can just send me an email. We can set that up. All right, my friends, let's get started for Gemini. What is the energy around Gemini for the week ahead? This is the Storyteller Oracle deck that I made, and it works a little differently. You kind of shuffle through and let whatever flies out come out, and then you find the first card at the beginning of the story, and it weaves a little story for you to consider. All right, let's have a look here. It's so interesting. I'm seeing that everyone seems to be sort of vibrating in the same place right now, trying to integrate, and it's impacting people's confidence, it seems like. I'm seeing that in a lot of the readings this week. So your first cards out are two. Usually it's just one, so that's interesting. We see here regret and solar plex. So Gemini, I wonder if there's something that you've been thinking about and sort of holding this space of regret, and whether or not that regret is impacting your center of power, your confidence center, the solar plex. That's sort of what's coming through right away. The first two cards for you. Let's see the rest of the story here together. So we're seeing control in reverse with shadow and feel. So there's, oh gosh, you know, every single reading I've done so far has shown that entanglement card. We're all getting untangled from things that no longer serve us. And that could really be the energy of that solar eclipse in Aries and the new moon that just passed. So let's just have a look here. I'm going to show you all these cards. Okay, very interesting. So the story I'm seeing here is that you may be feeling a little bit of emotion around something that felt like a sacrifice that was made, a regret you feel about a sacrifice, or a regret you feel about a situation that you were very entangled in. There was a deep connection between, it might have been in a relationship, but it feels like it was something that was triggering a shadow within you that sacrifices in order to let things just move forward peacefully. And it's interesting. I feel like you may regret something about that dynamic, because it's like you were trying to control things, I think with good intentions, because you thought, well, if I just sacrifice, then everything will be okay. But what ended up happening in that dynamic was, by sacrificing in this entanglement, this situation that felt like you just had to do something, you know, you ended up closing yourself off and putting yourself back to sleep here. I think you stepped into a pattern. When I look at these cards, you stepped into a pattern of doing things unconsciously, where you turned off the conscious mindful awareness and you stepped into a shadowy sort of autopilot. So a pattern of behavior that you've learned to use in situations that are triggering, so that you can get through it, even if it means you sacrifice yourself. And I think it left you polarized. It left you polarized because, see, the colors in this card is the blue and the green, which represent your throat chakra and your heart chakra. So there was a misalignment between how you were feeling, what your heart chakra was emanating, and what you were speaking. You were in conflict here. So this ended up putting you to sleep again, making you unconsciously unconsciously like you have to step into these patterns of almost feels like survival patterns, to be honest, where you know it doesn't serve you to sacrifice and to sort of be the peacekeeper at your own expense, it almost feels like. And you ended up shutting down. It ended up putting you back to sleep, shutting down. And now now that you're in a position to sort of be aware of this dynamic, maybe you've gotten some space from it, or maybe this is your sign to get some space from it, you have an opportunity to shift. Okay, you have an opportunity here to flip the script, to switch on a different frequency. And that is going to bring in an energy of a new day. But right now, I don't think that you feel this is possible, seeing it in the reverse. I think deep down you know it's possible. And in order to get there, you need to give yourself some compassion, because you're shifting a pattern of behavior and there are no shortcuts. Right? So when we shift out of patterns that, we slip into because of an autopilot, almost feels like a traumatic response, like there's an argument, and in order to just make the energy peaceful, you step in and take the blame and say, no, it wasn't their fault. It was my fault. I did it. Blame me. I'm sorry. Let's just move on. And really, there's a part of you that's like, but I didn't do anything. And why does it make me so uncomfortable to be around energy like that? So then I just step in and sacrifice myself almost and take the blame, take the hit, even though that ends up polarizing you and ends up making you feel feelings like regret, remorse, shut down. It's almost like you slip into this unconscious pattern of behavior that you've learned to soothe a situation outside of yourself. And I think you're learning not to do that anymore. I think you're learning to just let other people figure out what they need to figure out without it triggering you to step into this unconscious pattern of sacrifice, And it's interesting because bottom of the deck we see fire energy in reverse. So that tells me that a couple of things. That tells me you could be dealing with a fire sign, but it also tells me that the part of you, because we have placements everywhere. So the part of you that has the element of fire, which is your will, your confidence, your action, your masculine energy, is turned off when you do this. When you step into this pattern of behavior, you essentially switch off the part of yourself that has that sort of confidence to say, no, I'm not going to sacrifice myself. I know the truth, and I'm not going to say something that's not true just to take a shortcut away from something uncomfortable. Do you know what I mean? It's a very interesting message coming through for you here, Gemini. And as I part the deck, I saw the Devil and the Eight of Swords, which is an interesting message also, because the Devil always makes me think about these kind of unconscious patterns that we slip into to self-soothe, or it's the shadow work, right? That we need to look at consciously and mindfully. There's a Devil on the bottom of the deck still. And the Eight of Swords, which is self-imposed restriction. It's a time where we've put ourselves in a situation, consciously or unconsciously, and it creates great discomfort, and it creates a feeling of lack of balance within, because we're not being true to ourselves. Let's see what the tarot cards will reveal for you. Oh, there goes the Two of Pentacles flying on the floor. Notice this Strength card coming out sideways, which tells me that your confidence is not where it needs to sort of be sitting for your highest good, highest expression of yourself. It's kind of sitting on its side. So give yourself some compassion this week, Gemini, as you learn to let go of these things. There's the King of Rods coming through, I think, as guidance to say, step into this energy. Step into the energy of the King of Wands, which is this divine masculine energy I was just speaking about, of will, action, direction, confidence, and certainly not sacrifice, certainly not looking for a shortcut. So seeing the Strength card in reverse in between, and the Two of Pentacles was the first card out for you, which says to me that you have to prioritize. You have to choose. what you're going to prioritize. Are you going to prioritize your own truth, or are you going to prioritize sort of this people-pleasing energy that says, I'll sacrifice myself so that others are happy? I don't think that's serving you anymore. I don't think it ever was. I think it may have served you at a time where you had little to no control over the dynamic. Like, it's shadow work, and we're seeing here the shadow right next to control, right? These came out together. So that tells me that your inner child couldn't control a situation before. So it learned this pattern of sacrifice and people pleasing to just make peace. And now as you've grown and you can sort of take that inner child, embrace it, and say, I'm going to give you some compassion, and we're not going to do that anymore. We're not going to sacrifice anymore, because it's really shifting our own energy, and it's putting us back to sleep where we function without awareness. And when we do that, it sort of ends up creating that polarization in our energy, Yeah, 9 of Wands. I think you're about to step out of this sort of burnt out feeling where you've sort of exhausted yourself by functioning in a certain way that doesn't serve you. And I think you're about to shift, or you're being guided to shift out of that dynamic and sort of choose the path, not the shortcut, choose the path that really resonates with your truth. And yes, it might feel really uncomfortable because you've been entangled in this other dynamic for a while now. And you might have to wake up from that, because we see that asleep card. This has put you in a state of sleep. Now, on the bottom of the deck, we see the Hierophant, which I think confirms to us that this is the key. These are the keys here that you need to unlock yourself from something. And I feel like it's coming through as a message to you to flip the script, to wake up, to not be unconsciously be in a state of the sacrifice, the shadow element. You bring it to the light so you can have a look at it. Flip the script. See, that shift is a light switch. So it's like you're bringing things to the light so that you can look at them, so that they're not these programs that are functioning outside of your awareness and you just slip into patterns like autopilot. Let's clarify that. 2 of Pentacles is coming out with the Knight of Pentacles. So this is moving kind of slow, and you may not be wanting to sort of make yourself aware of this. Knight of Pentacles, Star in reverse as well. So you may be having a bit of lack of faith in yourself. You may be sort of self-doubting yourself a bit here. And I think you're being guided to really tune into the fire element. We all have all 4 elements, right? We all have water, fire, earth, and steel, air. And so we have all of those, and they're all represented in tarot, of course, as cups, wands, pentacles, and swords. And so wherever your fire is, it's been sort of extinguished, and you're being guided to light it up again. Light up your fire. Don't let it go out. That flame needs to stay burning. Yeah, look at that. You got the 4 of Swords and the 10 of Swords, both in reverse. So it's time to put your mind at rest here, Gemini, and let this ending be uncomfortable. Let it be uncomfortable. Feel it, and then release it. It's not yours. I almost feel like those swords don't even belong to you. You've just taken the hit to make everyone else's life easier, and that's not serving you. And it's not serving the people around you either, because then they don't face what they need to face. When we step in and people please like that, we sort of rob people of the lesson that they're supposed to be learning. Do you know what I mean? Even though your intentions are good, actually it's not serving anyone. It's not serving you, and it's not serving the others. 2 of Wands. Interesting. So you've got 2 2s here, one at the beginning of your reading and one at the end here, guiding you to get out of this comfort zone, because it's not serving you and it's not serving anyone else. I think the only people benefiting from this are potentially the people that are not held accountable for what they're doing. They're the only ones benefiting here but they're not even really benefiting, like I said, because they're not learning the lesson they're supposed to be learning. No one's benefiting. They may be benefiting on the surface because you took the hit, but ultimately, if they don't receive their own 10 of Swords, how will they begin again? So you're robbing someone of the lesson by stepping in. That's an interesting way to look at it, actually. That's very interesting. I'm going to leave it at that for you, Gemini. Thank you so much for joining me for this reading. I hope it's been helpful and resonated for you. And I look forward to reading for you again soon, my friends. Take care. Sending you so much love.